So now we're on the guided practice. So remember, on the first two, we're finding the measure of the angles. We need to label our triangle. Across from the right angle is our hypotenuse. And we're looking for angle R first. So we're going to label from angle R. Our side next to angle R is 3.1. It's our adjacent. Across from it's our opposite. Remember that when we are dealing with an angle, we need two sides that have numbers on it. So we're going to have adjacent and opposite. So what uses opposite over adjacent? Tangent. So we're going to take the tangent inverse again because we're finding an angle of our opposite, which is 8.9 over our adjacent, which is 3.1. So we're going to take that, put that in our calculator, tangent inverse of 8.9 over 3.1. And that gets us 70.7196. Remember that when we're dealing with an angle, we are rounding to the nearest whole number. So we have a 7 after the decimal place, so we're rounding up, so 71 degrees. Okay, then we take what we got for the last problem, add it to 90, and then subtract what we got from 180. And we get 19 degrees for the measure of angle P. Then our next ones, we're finding the unknown lengths to the nearest hundredth. So again, you need to label your triangle. So across from our right angle is our hypotenuse. We have 30 degrees. The side right next to it is our adjacent. The side across from it is our opposite. The first one, we're finding the length of AB. So AB is our adjacent. We need our adjacent in the side we have a number for. So we've got adjacent and hypotenuse. So what is adjacent over hypotenuse? It's cosine. So we're going to take the cosine of our angle, which is 32 degrees, over 1 equals our adjacent, which is what we're looking for. So that's going to be x over 7.4. Cross multiply. So 7.4 times cosine of 32 degrees equals x. And we're going to take and put that in our calculator. 7.4 times cosine of 32 degrees. And we get 6.27556. We're dealing with a side length, so we're rounding to the hundredths place. So after that 7, we have a 5, so we are raising our score, so we have 6.28. So we've found our adjacent. Now we need to find our opposite. So we're dealing with our opposite and hypotenuse now. What is opposite over hypotenuse? Sine. So we're going to take the sine of our angle, 32 degrees, over 1 equals our opposite, which is y, over hypotenuse, which is 7.4. Again, we're going to cross multiply. So 7.4 times sine of 32 degrees equals y. And we're going to take that and put that in our calculator. So 7.4 times the sine of 32 degrees. And we get 3.9214. Again, we're rounding to the hundredths place because it's a side. So after the hundredths place, there's a 1. So we leave the 2 alone. So 3.92. 2 is y. On number 5, a hill in the Tour de France bike race has a grade of 8%. To the nearest degree, what is the angle that the hill makes with a horizontal? Remember to change that percent to a fraction. So we have 8 over 100. Remember that it's just like slope. 8 is our rise, 100 is our run. And we're looking for the angle at the bottom. So again, we have our opposite and adjacent. So that is tangent. And we're finding an angle, so it's tangent inverse of our opposite over adjacent, which is 8 over 100. And we're going to take and put that in our calculator. Tangent inverse of 8 over 100. And we are going to round to the whole degree because we are looking for an angle. So after the 4, we have a 5, so we are rounding up. So we have 5 degrees. And our last one, for maximum accessibility, a wheelchair ramp should have a slope between 1/16 and 1/20. What is the range of angle measures that a ramp should make with a horizontal line around to the nearest degree? So remember from our previous unit that range, you have to have a lower number, is less than x, is less than a higher number. And we have 2 slopes here. So we need 2 triangles. So we have a triangle for our 1/16 and a triangle for our 1/20. Remember the top number is our rise. So both of those are 1. The bottom number is our run. So we have 16 and 20. Remember, hypotenuse is across from our right angle. And we're looking for the bottom left angle. So the 1 is our opposite in both of these. And the 16 and the 20 are our adjacents. So again, we're going to use tangent inverse because we're finding an angle. So tangent inverse of opposite over adjacent, 1/16. So we're going to take and put that in our calculator, tangent inverse of 1/16. And we're rounding to the nearest degree. So remember, we have a 5 in the tens place, so we're rounding up. So that would be 4 degrees. And then we're going to do the same for our other triangle. So the tangent inverse of our opposite over adjacent, 1/20. So tangent inverse of 1/20. And again, remember that we're rounding to the nearest degree. So we have an 8, so that rounds up. So 3 degrees. But we're not finished because it asked us for a range. So our range, remember, smallest value on the left, 3 degrees is less than x, is less than our higher value to the right of 4 degrees.